Aloha everyone, and welcome to Makavalu, where we take local issues and we look at them from different perspectives. I'm your host, Michelle Melendez. I am a 30-year fitness and wellness expert, as well as I've been standing against government overreach here on the Big Island since 2020. I'm the author of Great Maui Land Grab, What Caused the Maui Fire and Is Your Home Next? This won its first award under True Crime in the American Book Fest competition, and you can get your copy at greatmauilandgrabbook.com. And it's my pleasure to welcome Auntie Kalei. She is a local native and Kapuna, and we're going to be talking today about the general plan, which is really important. We have time right now to testify against the general plan and give them our thoughts on it. But Auntie Kalei, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here. Aloha. And my name is Kalei Kailakini. I was born and bred on the island of Molokai, Ho'olihua Homestead. And my father is from Waimea, Hawaii. He was a Paniolo. And my father is Purdy. I come from the Purdy family, and my grandmother was a Lindsay. So I now live on the island of Hawaii in Hilo. Happy to be here.
All right, so we're going to be talking about the general plan. And the very first thing that I wanted to share with you, if you have not looked at the general plan, is the map of what they want to do and how they want to change the general plan. And this is the map of Big Island, and everything that you see in blue is they want to change to conservation. That means no building, that means no, it means a lot of different things. I am going to go through the actual general plan and show you the word conservation, and you can decide for yourself, what do you think this means? Everything, and again, blue is conservation, and you can't see it. I'll kind of zoom in a little bit more, because this conservation land is throughout the entire coast. There's a whole line around the whole entire coast, because everybody is freaking out about climate change, which I am going to go over in this show and show you experts, climatologists, meteorologists, geologists, experts that talk about climate change, and they say there is no danger. So I will be telling you guys, talking about that. But this blue line covers the entire island, goes all the way around it, and it is something that is very concerning. And I do want to go through directly to the general plan and show with you guys, this is on page 11 of the general plan, what is conservation. So the first thing that comes up when I look in conservation is community conservation areas are natural or modified ecosystems, including significant biodiversity, ecological services, and cultural values, voluntarily conserved by local communities through customary laws or effective means. Effective means, that means almost the entire island, including the numerous areas around the whole entire island, are subject to customary laws or other effective means. Do you know what that means? Because I'm not sure I know what that means. It's not very clear. And one thing about this general plan is many areas in the plan are very vague. What would you say to that, Auntie Clay?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up was climate change. I mean, I had to bring that up because it was used so often throughout the plan. And I just, because I have the knowledge that there is no such thing as climate change the way they're saying that it is. So we wanted to clarify that, and that's one of the reasons why I would like to be here, because it's climate change dangers, but also to educate you, the public, about weather machines. It's weather machines, they call it weather modification. So we need to definitely cover that, Michelle.
Okay, well, let's go right into that area, because we do have, if you go to World Climate Declaration, and I have said this in other shows, so if you want to see this again, I'm going to go through this again because it's really important, but other shows have shown this. This is a World Climate Declaration, and if you just put in your URL, World Climate Declaration, this will pop up, and this is signed by over 1,901 credentialed scientists from around the world, Global Climate Intelligence Group. There's no climate emergency. This is their declaration. To believe the outcome of a climate model is to believe what the model makers have put in. This is precisely the problem of today's climate discussion, to which climate models are central. Climate science has degenerated into a discussion based on beliefs, not on sound, self-critical science. Should not we free ourselves from the naive belief of immature climate models? And I want to just show you a few countries. 5 credentialed scientists from Argentina signed this. 180 credentialed scientists signed this in Australia. These are the list of people, credentialed scientists, meteorologists, climatologists, 10 signatories from Austria, 1 from Bangladesh, 38 from Belgium, and it just goes on and on. 22 from Brazil. These are credentialed scientists. 184 credentialed scientists in Canada, and it just goes on and on from there. And
how many from the United States?
We'll scroll down. Let me see from the United States.
I'm curious.
Because let's see, 120 from Germany. These are all credentialed scientists that have signed this World Declaration stating that there is no climate danger. And this is from Mexico. 207 from Italy. 207 credentialed scientists have signed a World Declaration saying there's no climate danger. 159 from the Netherlands. I'm just going to keep going here. 27 from New Zealand, and 32 Norway. And this is around the world. These scientists had to show their credentials. 165 from the United Kingdom, and the United States should be coming up here. The United States, 444 credentialed scientists have signed this World Declaration stating there's no climate danger. No climate danger. Is there climate change happening? Every moment of the day.
Right.
But no climate danger.
But what I wanted to include in this, and the reason why we're talking about it, is that we want the public to be educated about who is bringing the scare or the fear about climate change. It's your government. Sorry, it's through your Hawaii County General Plan 2045. It's throughout this entire document. It's on the news from your government, from the federal to the state to the county. And what we need to do as citizens is to stop the lies, because in order for us to have a better life and to improve and to be sure that we are safe, our children, and the prosperity of for our generations, right? We need to start telling the truth. That's transparency, which they promised us, but they're not fulfilling that promise. So we're going to do it for them.
Yes.
We're not elected, but we'll do it for them.
John Coleman. And who is John Coleman? This is, you can find this on YouTube. This is also at standtogetherhawaii.com. You can go to standtogetherhawaii.com, click on Maui fires, click on weather, and all of these videos that I'm going to share with you right now are from there. And let me just show with you a little bit about John Coleman. The image is not totally perfect.
I guess to download this video from the Coleman's Corner website or from YouTube. And here I am, John. You live on the coast. How much?
Let me go back to here. John Coleman. Who is John Coleman?
I don't know anything about me. I was the original weatherman on Good Morning America. That was back in the 1970s. I was the founder of the Weather Channel, the cable TV network. That was in the 1980s. And I've been interviewed on all the big shows all over the cable networks about global warming. I'm a scientist, a meteorologist who has spent over 60 years forecasting the weather every day. And I guess this represents my proudest moment in my career. In 1982, the American Meteorological Society, of which I was a professional member for many years, awarded me their certificate as the Broadcast Meteorologist of the Year. Later on, I got kind of disgusted with the political agenda of the American Meteorological Society and let my membership fade away. But I was very proud, certainly, to be named the Meteorologist of the Year among all the broadcast meteorologists in the nation at that time. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear here. This is a wonderful planet we live on. I love it just as much as you do. And I want to protect it from the damage that our civilization might do to it, same as you do. And we have been told that we are destroying this planet. and because of what we're doing to the climate. And I want you to know that if I ever thought that was true, that we were creating global warming or climate disruption through our burning of fossil fuels and creating carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, I would devote the rest of my life to protecting this planet. I mean, that's very important. This is our home. This is what we got. This is where we live. Mm-hmm. But I am also absolutely positive that this whole thing about carbon dioxide and global warming is bad science. It's science gone bad. Science been taken over by people with political and environmental agendas, and it's just gotten really way out of hand. So I speak out about it whenever I can. I appreciate you listening to me on this occasion. We are being used by all sorts of people for their agendas, and what they're basing it on isn't so. And they're also promoting alternate energy. By the way, that's costing us billions of dollars in our electric bill and billions of dollars in what we pay for gasoline, that is entirely based upon this anti-fossil fuel campaign. So these people are trying to make it seem that I take sides politically. I'm not interested in politics. That I'm anti-environmentalism. My goodness, I love the planet. And I promote all I can of protecting our climate. And they also think I'm in the payroll of the oil and gas interest. Not at all. I don't get a nickel from them. That's not my point. Now look, they tell us that we have to turn off the lights on our civilization. And I love this advanced civilization. For thousands of years, the human species has improved itself and improved its civilization and created this wonderful environment. They want us to stop the exhaust from our cars, stop driving cars and trucks. They want us to stop flying on airplanes. They want to shut down the factories that make our smartphones. You want to give up your phone and our iPads and our television sets and our radios, and they want us to turn off the lights and I guess kind of go back to the civilization of Tarzan and Jane. Folks, that's real silly. It's totally unnecessary, and the whole thing is based on the concept that we are destroying the planet. Now, they are promoting both solar and wind power. Well, those are wonderful efforts to improve our way of generating electricity. But by the way, they cost us billions of dollars, and they're not very efficient. While they work pretty well where I live here in Southern California, worldwide they don't work well at all, and the power they generate costs about 10 times the power that we generate using fossil fuels. So it has really increased our cost of living. And then they tell us, oh, we're killing off the polar bears. That's not true. We're not killing the polar bears. There are actually more polar bears living on planet Earth today than at any time since we've been counting them. And they also tell us, of course, that we're melting the polar ice caps. Oh yeah? The Antarctic polar ice cap is at an all-time high. And the Arctic ice cap is increasing again after diminishing. They tell us, of course, that we're flooding the shorelines. Excuse me, do you live on the coast? How much has the water come up in your lifetime? Mm-hmm.
So I'll stop it there. There's a few other experts that I want to show you. This is from Dr. David Dilley. He's a former meteorologist from National Weather Service, United States Air Force. He was a senior researcher, meteorologist, climatologist, global weather oscillations. That's what he worked for 50 years as a meteorology and climatologist, working partner for the International Hurricane Protection. So he knows a little bit about the weather. And I want to show you guys the Milankovitch cycle. And
whatever you want, Milankovitch cycles of the Earth-Moon-Sun interactions, electromagnetic cycles. Essentially, this is what it is. The Earth goes around the Sun in an elliptical path. Every 120,000 years, the Earth becomes closest to the Sun. And then about 16,000 years later, it's the furthest approach from the Sun, greater distance. So the bottom half of this is all ice age, very cold due to less sunshine and also the tilt in our axis. Our closest approach was 8,000 years ago. We were warmer 6,000 to 8,000 years ago than we were today. The reason was we were the closest approach to the sun and came out of an ice age. We're 8,000 years off the peak now. We're actually cooling down.
So I wanted to share that with you, as well as the fact that here is an MIT scientist, and he explains his doubts about climate dangers.
If one asks about, is the temperature increasing or decreasing, it's always doing one or the other. I have no concern about that. By asking people to worry about whether it's going up or down, you're immediately establishing dishonesty. The earth is always changing. Climate change is nothing you have to prove. It always is happening. It always has happened. So to make that into something alarming seems to me a little bit weird.
A little bit weird from a professor of meteorology. Here's from the National Library of Science. National Library of Science, and this is a report on the temperature of the Earth, and they call the Earth terrestrial temperature. So it's modern grand solar minimum will lead to terrestrial, which is the Earth, cooling. Here's another major science. I mean, this website is very well established and respected website on weather and on other medicine. And the one thing I want to share is the reduction of terrestrial temperature, which is the Earth temperature, during the next 30 years can have an important implications for different parts of the planet on growing vegetation, agriculture, food. So they're actually concerned about cooling. This global cooling during the upcoming grand solar minimum, this is years 2020 to 2053, can offset for 3 decades any signs of global warming, and would require intergovernmental efforts to tackle problems with heat and food supplies. They're actually worried about global cooling and not global warming, and this is again from the National Library of Medicine. So why would the government or the powers that be want us to believe in climate change? Why would they change the entire map of Big Island and make all of the areas, most of the area around Big Island, conservation, as well as, look at that, the entire volcano area, national park, they want to make conservation. That means that, and also the areas in green are natural resources, also not able to build in those areas. Mm-hmm. Many people have gotten letters from the planning department telling them that their residential zoned area for land use as residential is going to change to recreation. That means when they go to sell their property or will their property to their ohana, to their keiki, the property value drops because it's no longer residential, it's recreation. Now we're meant to believe, I've been to probably 6 or 7 planning meetings up until now, and I'll be at the rest of them as well. We're meant to, they're telling us that the locals helped to create this plan. What local would say, get a plan where my property value drops? Any local? There's also parts of the plan. So Auntie, what do you want to say to that?
Absolutely insane. I mean, there's nobody, as a Kanaka Maoli, we are caretakers of the earth. So automatically, the Kanaka Maoli in Hawaii, our job is to take care of the earth. So we definitely agree with what these climate experts are saying. So it's about taking care of the earth and passing it, yes, from generation to generation for use and to appreciate what Mother Earth gives back to us. So the reason for us talking is just to educate you and to let you know what is causing the climate to change. The climate is changing, but it's man-made, and we need to bring that message to our audience, to the viewers. It's very important.
So we definitely will. I want to go over a couple things before we go there.
Sure.
And that is the electric vehicles. They want to put this really my kind I'm gonna breathe for a second. They want to put electric vehicles on the Big Island of Hawaii. The only way electric vehicles can get here is by boat. So let me just show you a couple things about the electric vehicles. The first one is that these electric vehicles, their batteries can be very dangerous. They can actually catch fire. Here is a homeowner questions the electric vehicle's safety after fire destroys her home.
They say an electric car sparked this fire that destroyed their home. And it wasn't even their car, it was a loaner. The homeowner told us they had the loaner while their personal car was being serviced. This happened in Nocatee in St. Johns County.
Take a look at the video again. Look at what's left behind. Almost nothing.
So I'll pause that one. I'll go to the next one. This is a woman trapped in her car after the battery dies in a Tesla.
Coming up on 5:30, a warning tonight for Tesla owners or anyone considering buying one of the electric cars.
A Valley woman says she got trapped inside her Tesla and
I
couldn't
can't
get
imagine
out. Gary Harper is here, and she was not the
suddenly
Sorry.
leave my home.
Sorry,
Where did
let me go back to that one. Sorry about that, Kazumi.
Edit.
Coming up on 5:30, a warning tonight for Tesla owners or anyone considering buying one of the electric cars.
A Valley woman says she got trapped inside her Tesla and couldn't get out. Gary Harper is here, and she is not the only one this has happened.
Yeah,
I just want to go to the next one. This is a billionaire dies after accidentally backing her Tesla into a pond.
a car crashes into water, quickly sinking. A recent victim is the sister-in-law of Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, billionaire businesswoman Angela Chow, who lost her life after backing her Tesla into a pond. McConnell referenced the tragic accident in his resignation announcement last week.
So she backed her car into, accidentally had it in reverse instead of in drive, and hit the gas, and it went right into the pond. The whole battery turned off. She wasn't able to get out. She called a friend of hers, not 911 right away, which I don't know why. Her friend came, tried to get her out, couldn't break the glass. She literally drowned in the car, knowing it was coming. She couldn't get out of the car. Not only that, but check this out. You want to know how bad, if your Tesla, if your electric vehicle catches on fire, it's going to take about 2 hours to douse it and get it out. Here is a fire captain talking about the difference between a gas car and a Tesla electric vehicle catching on fire.
Compared to standard car.
If it's a regular car, you're looking on approximately a 5-minute fire with about 500 to 750 gallons of water to put it out. If it's an electric though, we're talking it could go up to could go up to 3 hours, probably 2,500 to 25,000 gallons of water.
So how would you find out?
So not only that, but here is a cargo ship that sunk because they believe it was the electric vehicles. Is it safe to ship thousands of electric cars on Big Island, but big ships? So the captain, global head of marine consulting at Elianaz, says it's going to be very difficult to find the exact cause of the fire that sank the Felicity Ace. The problem with electric vehicles is that the lithium batteries in electric vehicles can actually propagate the fire, igniting more vigorously and compared to a conventional car. If the electric vehicles are not lashed or adequately lashed, a vessel encounters bad weather, the cars can become loose and have an impact and cause a fire. A single vehicle fire could prove catastrophic. There's actually ship captains that will not have these on their vessels. And how do we get food here on Big Island? Through cargo ships. So they want to put charging in the general plan, they want to put charging areas around all of Big Island. So not only with these cars that when they catch fire, it takes at least 2 hours to put out, as well as the different other dangers, but what about the effects on the grid? You're telling us there's already power outages in Kona. There's already power outages. So they want to put electric vehicle charging stations around the island, and which will stress the electric grid. And then who's going to pay for that? Where's the money going to come from? So how is your electric bill right now?
You.
How's your electric bill right
Me.
now? If you're not happy with your electric bill, can you imagine it going up higher? Because by 2045 or 2050, they want zero car emissions. That means zero gas cars. Can you imagine Big Island without any of these cars and these big old trucks? How are they going to pull their boats out of the water with an electric car?
Electric cars are a no-no. I mean, we need to teach you that, and so that you don't get into that trap. It's a trap. And if we are smarter, which we are, we're more akamai, and we need to learn about electrical vehicles and understand. And I think the reason why the politicians, I'm gonna have to go after the politicians, they need to start being more transparent, which is a euphemism word that they use, that they're gonna tell us the truth. But really, they're not telling us the truth. They're really lying about a lot of things, and we need to hold them accountable. And the electric cars, I talked to a Tesla owner on this island. His car is really beautiful, it's Tesla. And I asked him about it, and he said, oh, it's really great, and the whole thing about it being good. But he said, the island is big, Hawaii Island is big, so to travel from point A to point B is difficult for him because we don't have the charging stations, okay? Which means the politicians will be putting the charging stations and using climate change or conserving is why we're using electric cars, and that's opposite. We're not conserving, we're using much more. So you need to know that so that you buy gas cars or a horse.
They're wanting to reduce and eliminate the gas cars, and a gas vehicle, I don't know how an electric vehicle is gonna pull a boat out of the water because they just don't have the power. Or you farmers, have you used, I'm sure you've tried the electric vehicles, the electric mowers, the electric weed eaters, they're not the same. They don't have the same power. And that's what they're wanting us to do with this general plan. So I want to just remind everybody, we have an opportunity to speak out against this plan and tell them that this plan was no way, in my belief, that I don't believe that locals created this plan. I believe that it was created by the investment companies that invested in the renewable resources that they want us to consume. They want us to consume these electric vehicles and all the other renewable
resources. Well, let me just add to that what she's talking about. We're talking about companies, corporations, people that make the cars, the automobiles. So it's the lobbyists that talk to the politicians. You got to look at the people that you elect that get involved with corporations and companies, and they get involved. So they're just like a hui now, working together, because then our politicians make the laws. Sorry, but I'm just gonna have to pull that veil away from our politicians. You guys give a good talk, but you have a really crooked walk, because once you get elected, you're not sitting here with Michelle and I. Why aren't you at the table and talking to the viewers and letting them know the dangers of electric cars? And in China, I saw a whole area, like a football field of electric cars not selling because they saw these cars exploding. And so they understand, because it was being produced in China. And so these electric cars are not popular at all. But because we're so far away, and then we don't have the knowledge or the communication from our politicians, we are in the dark. Well, we're gonna try to fix that darkness.
We're working on that right now. Let me show you one more thing about electric cars.
Okay.
Where are they gonna go when they die? Where are they gonna go when they die? A dead battery. Let me just tell you about this battery. The battery pack of a Tesla Model S is a feat of intricate engineering, thousands of, okay, I'm just gonna skip that part. When the battery comes to the end of its life, its green benefits fade. It ends up in a landfill. Its cells can release problematic toxins, including heavy metals, and recycling the battery can be a hazardous business, warns materials scientist Dana Thompson of the University of Leicester. Cut too deep into a Tesla core in the wrong place, and it can short circuit, combust, and release toxic fumes. Where are these cars going to go after they die? They want to get rid of gas cars. Can you imagine all the people on Big Island having these cars, and then they start to die, where are they going to go? And these batteries are toxic to the environment.
Correct.
This is another mongoose. This is another, fire ant. This is another. This is an issue that we already have issues with our trash.
And beware, because they already did something like the politicians already did this. Okay, they passed the high five law. In Hawaii and other states, Hawaii is called hi-fi, and these are the plastic bottles. Okay, so these are the water bottles or the soda bottles that the manufacturers. There's a federal law that mandates these manufacturers that when they produce them, they have to get rid of them. That's EPA, right? They're responsible for getting rid, because the plastic is the landfill, so it can't be destroyed, right? So what happened? What did they do? What did the politicians do? Hi-fi. They passed the law. They gave us the responsibility to pay for that manufacturer's a water bottle, plastic bottle. So when we go to the store to buy water in the water bottles, we have to pay 5 cents or more. So we are actually, and then they come along, the high five people say, oh, don't worry, you can recycle and get your 5 cents back. So what do you find people doing?
This is going to happen with these batteries. So the whole thing, this is again, we're talking about Big Island General Plan 2045. This is what they have planned for the Big Island.
Yes.
We have a chance to speak up, and we really need to do that. Otherwise, what's going to be left for our keiki is probably nothing because about this. And what I also want to share is that the the taking away of land, of property, this is one thing that people really need to understand about what this general plan has the opportunity to do. It actually has a lot in it that says acquisition of land. They actually have a whole thing on it, but I'm going to let Amanda share her testimony.
I plead this general plan as written cannot be adopted. All of the policies and actions, especially on this section, the climate change, it equals a land grab and a government overreach. It doesn't promote economic prosperity for the people, nor does it reflect the vision of the community. This general plan needs to provide opportunity for growth and expansion for people and self-reliance on energy dependence. The net zero, it just will get us to where we're dependent on electricity. There is only one monopoly on electricity here. We need to promote alternative forms, like propane and gasoline is not a bad thing, and we shouldn't be focused on climate change globally. We need to be focusing on local issues. Also catchment tanks, that needs to be nurtured and given people the opportunity to have catchment tanks, collect them, and not have the government try to put smart meters on them and to like have the Department of Health on private property, like telling them how much water they can use and all that kind of stuff.
I want to just pause her there because that's what is in the plan. They want to regulate water catchment. Can you imagine people living off-grid in Hawaii allowing the health department to come onto their land to check their water catchment? They also want to regulate how much water you use. So this plan, this is another reason why, again, there's no way that locals would say, yes, please, government, come in on my property when I live off-grid and check my water catchment. Do you know any local that would want that to happen?
I mean, a water catchment, you're catching the rainwater, and I think one of the commissioners who currently is on, I'm not going to name any names because it's irrelevant, but he also has water catchment. I do. We have water catchment, and I understand that the county of Hawaii, they limit the amount of water catchment units you can have on your property. And you need to look into that because a lot of people have larger properties and they still have to have that one limit. And yet, by using water catchments, we are being very proactive with water, because we can use it for agriculture, we can use it for farming and all that kind of stuff. And so therefore, you know, the water catchment is a good idea, but for them to start to regulate it is not gonna be good, because regulation only means one thing. They're telling you what to do, number one. Number two, they're gonna charge you, they're gonna start charging you something called taxes, okay? So that also is going to hinder and it's gonna, you know, interfere with our survival, because taxes is monetary. And whenever they overtax you, you lose your property, you lose your water catchment. What else are they gonna tax? You know?
In fact,
Your laughter?
Exactly. The word incentivize is written numerous times in this plan. And one of the commissions asked one of the planning development people who worked on this plan, what does incentivize mean? How are you going to have people comply with the regulations that you have, that you're putting in this plan? And she said, well, the only real way is through taxes.
Yes.
Through taxes, everyone. So this plan, it's not going to benefit the Big Island, and it's going to increase people's taxes to try to make them do what this plan wants them to do. You live off grid and you don't want the government to come in and the health department to come in and check your water tank. You've got to come to these planning department meetings. You can find the information at standtogetherhawaii.com/action. I have all the dates, what time, what day, the address, and how to do Zoom if you don't want to actually go there in person. You can testify by sending them an email, but being there in person or on Zoom is way more powerful. And if you are an off-the-grid person and you don't want that to happen, you've got to come and speak up. Speak up for yourself, speak up for your keiki, and speak up for this island, because everything will be changing. Let me just show you guys a little bit about what some of the commissioners have wanted to do or have talked about. This is Commissioner Rodriguez.
My concern
This is Commissioner Rodriguez. What he's saying, he wants to change the word climate change so we can all get on board with the regulations under that. So let me just share this.
With the plan is that, you know, the word climate change, and a lot of people don't agree with climate change. So, you know, we want to get everybody on board and, you know, work towards the same goal. And, if we could find another word to replace climate change.
So I just want to stop him there, because they just want to change the word climate change to something else and keep all the regulations. I actually sent them a testimony saying it's not about the word. They actually said that they don't think we know what it means. And I told them, I said, we know very much what that means.
They don't know what it means.
They don't know what it means.
That's what it sounds like to him. If he can say we want to change the word, then he doesn't know what it means. And you know, they volunteer for these positions, and thank you guys. We really appreciate your volunteerism. But when you get to that position, you have to remember that you have a kuleana, okay? And for a Kanaka Maoli person, the word kuleana is not the word just the word responsibility. It's all encompassing, meaning you have to tell the truth, you have to work hard, make effort to get things to happen in a righteous or pono way, and for the wealth, the benefit, for the health and wellness of your people. So for him to go and hide the word or change the word doesn't change the situation.
No, and they want to keep all the regulations for that section. So we're telling them, we don't want this section. We don't want to be regulated. We don't want you guys to come in and check our water catchment.
But also to add to this, when he's saying change the word, we will bring to the table the information about weather machines. So changing the word from climate change to whatever he decides on, the whole purpose of us educating the public about climate change is because it is a natural occurrence, it's a cycle of the earth. So what we need to bring your attention to about climate is that there are weather machines that change the climate to the detriment of our people. And in order for you to understand the dangers, we have to let you know about the weather machines. It's very important, and this guy isn't saying a word about it, and he should very well know about weather machines because they were put together in the late 1940s after World War II, 1950s, okay? 1960s, 70s, and the Weather Modification Act was 1976.
In
Okay.
fact, here it is, right
There it is.
here.
And they made this act because they already knew they were testing it, and this is Nikola Tesla's technology that was stolen. Because I just got to put a plug for Nikola Tesla. He was a great inventor, a great humanitarian. He only invented the weather machines to help the farmers to be able to farm and to help areas that were subjected to, no rain and it was barren, or if it was over flooding, he wanted the weather machines to stop all of that. So it was to be used in a good way, but I'm sorry to tell you that the people that control and made the weather machines today, they are not using it in a good way. And we need to know that. We need to bring that information to you. The politicians should know this. This is their law. Okay,
Yeah,
I don't care who the mayor or the governor or the commissioners, I don't care who you are. This is 2024. This is 1976. And if you tell me you don't know this, how can Michelle and I know it? Okay, I'm 76 years
Well,
old.
we're not being paid by the large investment companies.
Yeah, but we went and found the information.
And it's right there. It's
Yeah,
right
we read.
there in black and white. And it
Yeah.
literally says the White House, this is the National Weather Modification Policy Act of 1976, a review and analysis of research efforts, needs, and weather modification technology. Here is a weather and climate collections. This is from the NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And they say, what is weather modification? Any activity performed with the intention of producing artificial changes in the composition, behavior, or dynamics of the atmosphere. This is known information.
Let's just cut to the chase, okay? They can just make it rain. They can make an earthquake. They can make a hurricane. They can make strong winds. Now, we got to remember the line of fire. But let me bring my kupuna knowledge to the table right now. I attended the University of Alaska in Anchorage, Alaska, and I also attended Alaska Methodist University, 1966 to 1970. So in the 1960s, they were testing the weather machines in Gakona, 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 Alaska. They had them all up. There were towers, and they were testing them, and they were utilizing them. And I was there, but I didn't know about it at the time. But I found out about it later because I read a book, and it says, angels don't play this harp, HAARP. These are the acronyms. So we'll go more into that, but there's a book, and it was written by a professor, scientist. His name was Nick Begich, Begich, and he was from Anchorage, Alaska, and his father was a senator, a federal senator from the state of Alaska. So the weather machines were first tested up in Gakona, Alaska. So they do exist, and we need people to understand that. So climate change really means weather machine change, okay?
There we go. And in fact, when at the meeting, I was listening more. There was one of the commissioners said that she would take it upon herself, I don't know which one, to find a word that people would come on board with. We're not going to come on board with the regulations you have for whatever word you decide to put in this general plan. That area, if you try to change that word, you need to erase all the regulations under it, because it's null and void. It makes all those regulations null and void. Here is a patent, the very first weather modification patent for the U.S. State Patent Office, method for producing rainfall, 1891, everybody. There's over 200 weather modification patents. Speaking of Lahaina, do you remember the day before the fire, there was a white haze? Somebody was videoing, what is this white haze over Maui? A friend of mine had two pictures. He had 4 pictures, one of a clear sky and one of the day before, and it was all haze, something haze. Well, let me just tell you, here is a patent, a U.S. patent for combustible compositions for generating aerosols, particularly suitable for cloud modification and weather control and aerosolization process. A combustible composition that literally creates clouds. Okay, I'm not saying that's what that was, because I don't know, but I do know this is a patent for that. So isn't that interesting?
Also, just to let the viewers know, the famous Bill Gates of Microsoft, he owns patents to weather machines. Why? Why would he have one? Try to figure that one out. Well, he's very, very wealthy billionaire, so I guess if he had a weather machine, he could do whatever he wanted to do. He could cause an earthquake in Hawaii if he wanted to. So this is a really huge concern. And I believe that Nikola Tesla, with that technology that he came to invent, what I believe he wanted to do as far as the positive side, he wanted to have different countries to have it, to use it, so that, that everybody knew that they had it, so that there would not be any wars.
Mm-hmm.
No
He was a good man.
fighting. And so, but the wrong people got their hands on the technology, and they're utilizing it in nefarious ways. Not
only that, but they want us to pay for it.
They want us to
pay for it. They want to bring these electric vehicles into our grid and have us pay for it all. This other thing around weather modification is maintaining records. The only people that do not have to report that they do weather modification is anybody who works for the federal government.
How's that?
Any contractor, any employee who works for the federal government, everybody else needs to report on their weather modification usage, but not to the general public. They report it to the federal government.
We need to do a report card on all of our politicians, and we need to start evaluating. I mean, if kids got to go to school and get A's, B's, and C's and be evaluated on their, competence, their mental competence, I think that the elected officials, if they're going to go for a second term, anything more than one term should be able to be evaluated by us. And whenever they do not perform, they should not be allowed to run again, because they start running over and over and create this machine, and then they start doing good for the companies, the telecommunication companies as an example, and they're not working for you and I. And that needs to stop.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to stop. I'm old enough to know the history, and I'm gonna cycle out of this world. So for you future generations, please, please listen to a kupuna. We love you, that's why.
So on that note, I want Auntie, you've taken a look at the section of biodiversity, and I'd love for you to share what your thoughts are on, what is the chapter called, the section called?
Chapter 2 is collaborative biocultural stewardship. And so this one here has everything to do with the Hawaiian culture, things like that, which to me didn't make a whole lot of sense, because number one, I noticed that they didn't use Native Hawaiian. They were using all these words except Native Hawaiian. So I found a lot of it lacking, especially with the cultural practices. They didn't have, they would say it's important, but they did not say who they were gonna go to get this knowledge or leadership, alakai. They didn't say anything like that. They just have a good talk about it, like we're concerned.
I did find what I was wanting to find in the general plan. So this is in the general plan, the difference between traditional and modern practices, along with varying
Mauka
and Makai
ownership
makes it difficult to comprehensively steward natural resources. What does this say? To me, you know what this says? It says they want to take people's property from Mauka to Makai because the modern practices will benefit more greatly than having ownership, than having regular Native people own land. That's what this says to me. Let me read it one more time. The difference between traditional and modern practices, along with varying Mauka to Makai ownership makes it difficult to comprehensively steward natural resources.
Well,
they want to take people's land.
Well, traditional would be the ahupua'a system. Mm-hmm. That's the traditional. But how it was set up in Hawaii was to help the entire island. That's how they survived through the ahupua'a system, which is traditional. Now they're going modern practices, and they're using Mauka to Makai, which is ahupua'a. That is the mountain to the ocean. And it was set up in such a way, but the ahupua'a practice of stewardship on the lands is a lost art to many of us. So we need to rely on our elders, or kupuna, to bring back that knowledge. Because now what the county plan is trying to do, they're trying to do a dig on us, is what I think. They're trying to make fun of the Native Hawaiians that, okay, yeah, you guys were successful with the ahupua'a, but we're gonna show you how to make money. off of that system, but we're gonna call it something different. First of all, we'll say modern. So what are you gonna use instead of ahupua'a? What word are you gonna put in for modern? Are you gonna use a Hawaiian word? Please don't, okay? Please don't, because we take care of the earth, because we know Mother Earth takes care of us. But you guys in the plan, it's all about money.
It's all about money.
It's all about money and nothing else, because the corporations are sitting down at the table talking to the planners and the county people. They get elected and say, okay guys, this is how we can make money. If you tell people to do more walking and less driving.
That's another thing they said. They want to
More
reduce
walking.
miles traveled, which is against the Constitution because we have the right to travel. So there have been, and I don't have it set up, but there have been people in Europe who've actually been fined for going over their miles allotted. Do we want that on Big Island? That says reduce miles traveled, and how do they reduce? How do they incentivize us to do what they want?
Take away the
more
car.
taxes,
Yeah,
more
more
fines, more policies, more regulations. Again, we are talking about
It's in the plan.
the Big Island general
Reduce your
plan.
travel, it's in the plan. And so one guy, I think at one of the testimonies, he heard that and I think his ears went ba-bonk, because he says, what do you mean? What do you mean? I can't drive? What? So that's what it is. You gotta be careful what they say when they say limit your travel. And in the United States, their constitution does not allow that, okay? So why would they wanna do it in Hawaii? Well, I have my answer, but.
So, yes, so again, we're talking about Big Island General Plan. We have some time to speak out. If any of these are of concern to you and to your family, to the future of your keiki, please come speak out. You can learn more about it at standtogetherhawaii.com/action. And I do want to go through two more things.
But there are a lot of areas. There are a lot of areas that people need to be concerned. A lot of people need to be concerned. People that drive, travel, people that, the Native Hawaiian groups, come on. We gotta start protecting. We are caretakers. Do not let the county turn it into a money-making project for corporations. We need to, Mauna Kea, you showed your strength, how strong you are. You showed it, and you need to come back. They wanted Mauna Kea for the water. Because again, these rich people are saying our next petroleum is water. And Mark Zuckerberg is buying up all of the water on the island of Kauai. And they wanted Mauna Kea, that's why they wanted to put the TMT up there. It's not for the telescope. They got telescopes on satellites. So it's not about that. Number one, if they built that, then the telescope company will make billions. Number two, they get up there. Number three, they're mining, taking the water out of Mauna Kea. So come on, Kupuna. You guys gotta rise up again.
Yeah.
Rise up.
Yes, and I want to just say, because I see Oscar there, and I want to just look at, I was going to share this other thing, but let me just share this really fast.
Yeah,
this is Oscar, which everybody should know about.
Oscar.
OSCER.
OSCER.
There we go.
Acronym.
Collaborate and coordinate with the county's Office of Sustainability, Climate, Equity, and Resilience. What this means is they want to take away our voice. They want to put an umbrella company, an umbrella department over the planning department so that they actually get the last say of what happens on Big Island. This company, this organization, this department will take away people's voice to tell the planning department what we want, because they will collaborate and coordinate with an unelected board, an unelected department that gets the final say of what happens on Big Island. This Oscar needs to be booted out of the Hawaii General Plan, otherwise us people will have no voice. This definitely needs to be taken a look at.
Right.
And I do
Well, the acronyms, OSCER, we say Oscar, but it stands for Office of Sustainability, Climate, Equity, and Resilience. So again, they put the word climate in there, so it's a rules. So that's the reason why it's very important to understand Oscar.
So I do want to talk about these are the principles that they want to, that are in the general plan. And I've actually told them to change these. This one is environmental protection. Protection means more rules, more regulations, more fines if you do not do what they want. This needs to be environmental stewardship. There is a person here on Big Island who has actually shared an ag village plan, and I've given it to the planning commissioners and said this needs to be in place of environmental protection, because an ag village actually has it where people, they grow food for each other. It's like an apua'a, and they have a neighborhood where their priority is to grow food and be sustainable with each other in community. And this one, this social and cultural equity means fairness. Who's going to decide on the rules for fairness? What regulations and policies and fines are going to be put in place so that we all honor or obey the equity, the fairness that they want us to have here on Big Island? I told them this needs to change to thriving communities. We need to have thriving communities, not social and cultural equity. We do not need to focus on what separates us. We need to focus on what thrives our communities and moves us forward, and environmental stewardship, not protection. We stop putting garbage and stuff. The Aina will take care of herself, but we steward the land, which is what Hawaiian locals have done from ancient times.
Correct.
So, and the last thing I want to share is the testimony from a friend of mine who works for national security, who sent the planning department this testimony. This is my friend. She it works for national security, and this is what she sent to the commissioners. After commenting on 2045 general plan online, providing extensive testimony and attending workshops, it is clear this document needs a great deal of revision, and citizens are not aligned with the draconian template handed down to local communities in Western countries. She says this is outrageous, and the words homeowners and farmers do not appear anywhere in the plan. In the plan is the word stakeholder, and under the definition of stakeholders is local communities, which is supposed to be homeowners and farmers, but also in the definition of stakeholder is literally anyone in the entire world. It says investors, it says government agencies, it has a list of people that have influence, that can have influence and input on the general plan, and it literally is anyone in the entire world that is referred to as a stakeholder in the general plan. I told them, I said, change the word stakeholder to local communities, local homeowners, local farmers, local investors, local renters, everybody who is local. Not anybody in the entire world, which is what the word stakeholder implies in our Big Island General Plan.
But they're doing it for a reason. They're wanting to allow these companies to have a way in to our community and the problem with that I can see is that if you have a farmer, or you have me, an ordinary person, and you have a corporation, who has more power at the table?
They're going to
or the farmer, or Coca-Cola?
Exactly, because they do say that they're going to collaborate with government agencies, for-profit and non-profit, and then stakeholders at the end. So there's a lot of things in here in this general plan that concern all of us. And if any of this resonates with your heart, come and speak out at the Planning Commission. We have chances, 2 in December, 2 in January, 2 in February, and 3 in March when it goes to the county council. We can stop this plan, but it will take all of us coming together. So again, go to standtogetherhawaii.com/action. You'll see the general plan. Look at it yourself. You'll see some of our edits. You'll see videos, and you'll see the dates where you can speak out. So much mahalo for watching. Please take a look at the Makavalu show on the Na'aleo TV station, and you can find out more about our videos that we've done, our shows that we've done. And Auntie Kalei, thank you so much for joining me today.
Welcome. Happy to be here.
All right, aloha everyone.
Aloha.